So when we're talking about conversion rate, where should the conversion rate be? What should we be improving? How do we know if we've got the right conversion rate? So and where how do we know if we're at the right level? So for search or like for Google Ads, this is the conversion rate. So this is from WordStream as of November 2023. And you can see here search conversion rate distribution. So this is basically telling you what people's conversion rates currently are. So 13% of people have got conversion rate of between, well, 26% got people a conversion rate of below 1%. And you can see here, whenever I'm talking to people, I'll say the average is about 3 to 5%. And you can see why I say that because that's the conversion rate that you're usually aiming for, 3 to 5%. If you're below 3%, then you know you got a problem. If you're in 3 to 5, at least you know you're hitting the median, if you like. Then you can see here, that's a fantastic conversion rate, 11.45%. That's the top 10% of search advertisers will be achieving over 11.5%. So that's what you want to kind of aim to do. So you can see here, this is what we should be aiming for in terms of search. So if you're currently on 15% for search conversion rate, then obviously you may be on the right lines anyway. So obviously the quality of the ad depends because what you communicate on the advert has to be reciprocated on the website. So if I'm looking to buy a yellow pair of trainers, don't know why I said yellow, but yeah, if I'm looking to buy a yellow pair of trainers or sneakers, when I click on the advert that shows a yellow pair, I shouldn't go to a page that has a black pair or a page that has 10 different variations. I should just go to the yellow pair because that's what I've clicked on. And most of you, sometimes you'll notice these things when you're on Facebook or Instagram. You click on the advert and it's got like a carousel feature. So you're looking at the different items, you think, oh, I like this one. You click on that, and it takes you just to a generic page. And that's enough to make you think, oh God, I'll not bother. Here's So, what should your conversion rate be on ads? Now we're looking at Google Ads in particular, and also the average conversion rate. As it says here, the average conversion rate in Google Ads across industries is 4.4% on the search network and 5.5% on the display network. What we mean by the display network is, when we were talking about display ads, that's the display network. So, and then 4.4% is there. So you can see some industries here. So once again, I use that 3 to 5% as a guide, but here's something a bit more specific. So once again, via WordStream from November 2023. So let's have a look at this red one here, travel and tourism. They have got some symbols there actually, which is good. So you can see here, these are the Google display partners. So when we're on Google Ads, and I'm saying that there's two options you can pick, the search partners, and I say the first time you're running ads, just select them because you do get a bit of web conversion through them. And also remember, if you're not getting conversions through them, maybe it's just a touch point. So maybe a customer remember seeing an ad somewhere, even though they didn't click on it, subconsciously or subliminally, they've seen it, and maybe it's just reminded them when they saw your advert. Anyway, that's why I keep carry on selecting it. So let's have a look at this big one here. So you got this one, vehicles. Wow, look at that, nearly 8%. This purple one, what's the purple one? Law and government, 8%, which is the lowest performing one. Apparel, wow, that's quite low, isn't it? So you'd think like things like trainers, clothes, t-shirts, people buy, but the conversion rate's low because maybe there's so many people selling it. So you can see if you can achieve between 3 to 5%, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? Now looking at Facebook, so the average conversion rate on Facebook across all industries is a lot higher. So I'm a big fan of meta advertising. I used to think the average was about 8%, but it's obviously 9.21. Once again, you can see the conversion rates here. Let's have a look at any big performers. This grey one here, what's that related to? Fitness, yeah. You see fitness. You see a lot of advertisements these days for gym and fitness related. That's this brown one here. Employment and job training. So you can see jobs and training. So that's the conversion rate. What's this light blue one here? Is it education? Yeah, education. What's the lowest one? Technology. Look at that. Technology so low, 2.31%. Once again, feel free to take a screenshot here. And as I mentioned there, they are from via WordStream. Okay. Moving on to the next one. What should your email conversion rate be? So remember, thinking back to email, I gave you some examples of open rates that I've achieved and gave you some statistics as well. But this is once again via WordStream. And just one was obviously we're in the conversion rate optimization module. So just want to kind of refresh your memories and give you an idea of the targets you should be aiming for. The reason I'm showing you these is because if you're already reaching a high level in terms of ad, remember these are more channel conversion rates. Earlier on in this module, we were looking at the website conversion rates. Now I've kind of overlapped a bit into the channel ones. So email conversion rate, you can see here, let's have a look at the big performer. Professional services, look at that, 4.6%. It might not sound like a lot, but remember, email is basically free. Do you know how I described it? You create the template, you're sending to thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even millions, depending on how big the particular segment or your email list is. And obviously, you'll know your segments. Remember when we were talking about people based in London or Manchester and whatever it might be. So even though email, you might think conversion rates quite low compared to the ads you're paying for every click, aren't you? Here, you're paying the person to create the, well, because you've already created the template, so it's the cost has already gone into it. You're basically paying the person to send the email, which probably might be taking the existing template, making a couple of changes, adding pictures. So maybe in total, from my experiences, you're talking 2 hours worth of work. So you're paying someone for 2 hours worth of work. And if you can get a nice conversion rate of 4.6%, that's pretty impressive because it's only cost you 2 hours worth of work. And once again, as we know with email, these are people who are already interacted with you, they already know your business. Of course, the exception being cold emails. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of information. So now we've got to a point where we've got a lot of information, but which one's good and which one's not so good?